Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And yes, it's confirmed I have COVID. But what's really exciting is you can't catch COVID by watching my videos or subscribing or commenting or liking my videos here at Movies TV Mad here on YouTube or over on my Twitter at Movies TV Mad. So welcome to Sunday's edition of the dceu Daily. I do have COVID symptoms. I'm not going to be at my best on this video, and I've already got something in my eye, so it's going to be not my best efforts, but we persevere. People are messaging me in their droves. Mick, do we really need a Joker sequel? Why are people asking me about this? Because Heroic Hollywood have said this. Heroic Hollywood reported that Warner Brothers has started pre-production for Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix Joker 2. An insider close to the situation indicated that Warner Brothers currently has the first draft of the film's script and that shooting is expected to start sometime in 2023. Now, Heroic Hollywood are not lying about this, and let me tell you what I know. Now, I know on a daily basis I'm called Pinocchio, a liar. You know, you are allowed to react to my videos in any way you want. I won't take it personally, but I am connected. I did spend 6 months in Hollywood. I do know what I'm talking about. Now, if you choose to abuse me over my takes and the information I relay to you, that's up to you. I can only tell you what I know. Let me tell you one thing for sure. I am very passionate about the entertainment industry, movies, TV dramas. I love it. I make it myself. I consume my favourites on a daily basis, and I'm very passionate about DC. There is no Joker 2. There is no Joker sequel. They are not lying, though. The next film, this film they're talking about in Todd Phillips' Joker universe, is the next villain story, right? So we're not going to go into which villain they're going to do, but the next film isn't a Joker sequel. Now, Joaquin Phoenix may or may not be involved in that movie in terms of a cameo or a little narrative kind of situation from the first movie. But when Todd Phillips pitched this to Warner Brothers directly, he was talking about creating a villain franchise. He was talking about creating his own universe. He was talking about doing movies about different DC villains. So that's what's going to happen with this so-called Joker 2. This is not a Joker 2. This, in fact, is the next villain movie. So people, you know, losing their shit saying we don't need a Joker 2. Do we need a Joker 2? You are not going to get a Joker 2. That was never ever the plan from Todd Phillips. Now, rumours have been coming from really good sources, and I'm not sure if Heroic Hollywood is a great source, although Humberto Gonzalez, I don't know if he's still with Heroic Hollywood, by the way, has sometimes had some really good pieces of information, and sometimes he's been wrong, like all of us. I mean, I've had this YouTube channel since 2018. Sometimes I've been right, sometimes I've been wrong. We listen to sources, we listen to information, and sometimes those sources are duds, and sometimes those sources are not. Like in life, sometimes we're coming from a right place, and sometimes we're coming from a wrong place. You know, don't shoot the messenger, that's what I would say to you. But I'm very, very confident about this information that I've got. It's not a Joker sequel, it's not Joker 2, it's the next villain story. But if this was a Joker sequel, and if I was wrong, I'd still be very, very excited about this movie, but I'm pretty confident it's the next villain story. Comment down below and let me know what villain you'd like Todd Phillips to make his next movie in this franchise about. I'm also hearing that although Todd is writing it and co-writing it with the same guy he did with the Joker movie, that maybe Todd Phillips will not direct this picture and somebody else will be. Who would you like to direct this picture? Very interesting. I would love Todd to direct this film and co-write it like he did the first film, but we'll have to wait and see for that. But I'm very excited about this piece of information. So the next villain story in Todd Phillips' kind of, let's call it, Joker villain franchise. It's very exciting. I'm also hearing that they will have their own Batman within this universe. Now, you know, I've had theories about the Batman universe and Todd's universe kind of being one universe. That was before I saw the Batman. I am not going to tell you anything whether I can confirm or deny those reports, because obviously I've seen the Batman now and there's no spoilers coming from me on this channel. Again, if you don't want to believe me, that's entirely up to you. I can only tell you what I know and what I've done and what I've consumed. If you don't want to accept that, if you don't want to believe that, then, you know, that's fine. If you're just watching this while you're having a shave, or maybe you're in the toilet or something, that's fine as well. I'm just going to tell you what I know, that this is not a Joker sequel and it's the next villain story, and I'm very, very, very excited about that. I think it's going to be great, and I think once people find out what villain it's about, and you know, that's the thing, this is the second of many films, because that's what's great about this. And so I'm sure you will see cameos and Easter eggs from the first Joker movie. It will be set within the same universe, but a different place, a different part of the DC universe, and this will be Todd Phillips' take on this next villain, and this was always the plan. And when he pitched it to WB, they said, hold your horses, Todd, let's see how this does, and we'll see if we want to, you know, take this to the next movie and the next movie. Now, obviously, over $1 billion on a film that didn't even cost $100 million to make at the end of the day, it's not rocket science. So that's why I say, even if this was a Joker sequel, I wouldn't be worried about that, because I think they would have some ideas. Now, Joaquin Phoenix said a few months ago that he is interested in doing more, but nothing's been decided right now. I think, obviously, Joaquin knows what's going on, and what's been relayed to me is that it's not a Joker sequel, but we'll have to find out. But I'm very excited about this information, and I think if you're a DC fan, you're going to be excited about this. Todd Phillips doing another movie within this villain universe is very exciting news, because I think the Joker movie, the Joker movie is one of the best films in general I have ever seen. When you look at films like The Joker, The Batman, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, Man of Steel, BVS, The Snyder Cut, these are superior in every way to individual MCU films. The MCU may be a great franchise for people to enjoy, right, and put their brain on the floor for a couple of hours, but DC have actually given us the best comic book movies ever made. Batman 89, Batman Returns, The Dark Knight Rises, Superman the movie, you know, it goes on and on and on. And we've definitely in DC had better television series than Marvel have given us as well. You can throw Daredevil in my face, but is Daredevil as consistent as Smallville was for a decade? Absolutely not. And I don't think that Daredevil had the effect on people like me that Smallville did. Smallville was produced on a on a small budget. I nearly said a Smallville budget. He may never have worn the suit apart from in CGI in the final episode, but he was everything that Superman has ever been. He had the values, he had the superpowers, he saved people, he had a relationship with Lana Lang, then Lois Lane. They catalogued everything that Superman has ever experienced in the comic books in such a fabulous way. We had Easter eggs, we had guest appearances from cast members from different, iterations of Superman live action. We had Impulse in it, we had Green Arrow before Oliver Queen was even ever thought of, ever before, Arrowverse and things like that. What Smallville did was sensational. DC has got the best comic book live media ever made, and that's a fact. And you can put the first Joker movie in there. So please inject whatever Todd Phillips is doing in my veins and take my money now. Multi-talented actor and director, what's his name again? Keep on forgetting it. Andy Serkis has been talking about his role as Alfred Pennyworth in The Batman. So much respect for this British artist. He's done so many things. How can we forget what he did in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So this is what Andy has had to say. The role was like my personality. I'm very down to earth myself. I was also intrigued by the possibility of playing a character who failed in his parental aspirations. Yeah, this is a big kind of narrative trait in the film, by the way. An aspect that Matt also wanted to emphasize very strongly. Andy Serkis, Deadline. He goes on. I was talking to Christopher Nolan about his Batman movies a lot back then. When I got the Alfred role, I naturally got in touch with him again. I also ran into him by chance, and he just told me that he expected me to perform strongly, so I don't feel pressured at all, which is great. But yeah, that's Andy Serkis on his role as Alfred. Now, when I reacted to seeing the Batman, I spoke a little bit about Andy and his performance that is very strong. I would say when I look at all the actors who have played Alfred in live action, we can go back to the 1960s. I like that Alfred. The kind of Batman 89, 92, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, that Alfred was pretty cool as well. I really liked him. And obviously casting Michael Caine as Alfred was genius. And you know, Jeremy Irons, who's one of my favourite actors just for the fact that he was in David Cronenberg's Dead Ringers. Go and watch that film. He plays twin brothers. It's a phenomenal film if you haven't seen it. So we've had some of the best actors out there playing Alfred, and they don't get any better than Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis really delivers a unique, different element to anything we've seen of Alfred Pennyworth. Of course, there is an Alfred Pennyworth TV show out there, and that's a great take on the character as well. We've never had a bad Alfred, by the way. But for me, this is the very best. Not just because of the actor, not just because of Andy, but because of what Matt's put into it. Every element of this film, every character is fleshed out, and it's a unique take on something we've seen again and again. But it's different. It's not just for different sake. And I think I can't tell you about this at all. It would give so much away. But it's very intense. It's very interesting. It's a very different relationship. And I do feel that Bruce Wayne in this film and Alfred are pulling in two different directions. And I mean, as the people in the film have already said, you know, these are two people walking past each other in the same house. You know, Alfred wants him to at least pretend he's Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne is not interested because Bruce Wayne is obsessed with getting revenge for the murder of his parents, but he also wants to clean up Gotham City. It is an addiction, it is an obsession, and this is why these two are pulling in that kind of a direction. And Alfred really, in terms of this film, kind of goes to extreme kind of tactics to kind of get him to drop what he's doing and be Bruce Wayne. And you're going to find out about that element of the film, and I've already said too much already. So yeah, so Alfred, like all the characters in this film, are played in a very genuine way. But yeah, such a great version of Alfred. And you know, when you cast someone like Andy Serkis, you know you're in safe hands. The casting in this film is top tier. But to be fair, Christopher Nolan's casting in his Dark Knight trilogy was fantastic too. And Ben Affleck as Batman and Jeremy Irons as Alfred was very cool as well. But this is kind of a nondescript, kind of very unique version of the Batman universe. It's Matt's take. It's dark. It's scary. You see that, you know, this isn't a nice place to live, that Bruce Wayne isn't in a nice situation. You know, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous city. And I've never really felt that within a Batman film before. I've never felt that Gotham City is dangerous, but in this film, you really feel what Bruce Wayne and Batman are up against. So you're really going to enjoy Andy Serkis' performance and iteration of Alfred Pennyworth. And finally on today's DCEU Daily, I want to talk about the Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut is one of the best DC films ever made, for sure. My issue is with it is having a 4-hour Justice League movie that has Superman in it for that amount. That was always a huge problem, and these are the consequences of killing off Superman in the previous movie. It was done pretty well, bringing him back. What I don't understand is, and I'll never understand this by the way, is you've got a great Death of Superman story in the comics. It's better than any movie can come up with. Why not just use that? And why not do this in a Superman film? Probably Superman's rebirth shouldn't have been in Justice League, but it should have been in a Man of Steel sequel, and then maybe do a Justice League. Now, let's look at Superman and his screen time in Zack's potential Justice League trilogy. So we barely see him in the first Justice League, the Snyder Cut, or even in Justice League. And by the way, mostly his appearance in both Justice League and the Snyder Cut is very, very similar. The only differences are, of course, that in Justice League he's got the blue costume on and he's cringily smiling a little bit more, and there's a few more gags. And of course there's that, actually one of the good things that Joss Whedon did, and he didn't do many good things, was the race with Barry Allen. I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, my point is you barely see him in Justice League, right? And you barely see him in a 4-hour Justice League movie. So how would he have been represented in Justice League 2? Well, according to Zack Snyder, we were pretty much focusing on the nightmare future, which means we would have got mostly evil Superman in this film. So then we get to Justice League 3. Now, I don't know in Justice League 3 if we see OG Superman throughout the movie. We know he's going to, or he would have been leading out a metahuman army in his red costume, right? Finally being the Superman we know and love. But that could be in the final act of the movie. So what I'm saying is, in the Justice League trilogy, we would have got very little of an OG Superman. And for me, as a diehard Superman fan, it's not what I wanted. Yes, I like the Snyderverse. I like Snyder's DC and how he did it. But ultimately, and he was trying to tell a Superman story with a Superman arc, dominated in a bunch of DC movies. And that's a great idea, and I love him for attempting to doing that. But ultimately, you're doing his arc, but you never really get to see the Superman we know and love. In fact, the Superman we know and love really is in Man of Steel. Even though it's pretty much Superman Begins and we don't see the classic character traits and personality traits of Superman, he's still got the costume on, he's still saving people, and he's being a hero. That is my favourite Henry Cavill kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, interpretation of Superman. I think in BVS it's an interesting story. I like BVS, but again, it's not the Superman we know and love. Barely see him in Justice League. And Justice League 2, probably evil Superman. And how much of OG Superman would we have seen in Justice League 3? And here are the problems with killing him off in BVS, aren't there? These are the consequences, and this is why some people didn't like it. And this is why Snyder's take is kind of divisive. So going forward, we really need to represent Superman in the DCEU in the right way. We know there's the Ta-Nehisi Coates film. We know there's the Michael B. Jordan, Val Zod story as well. Where that leaves our OG Superman, we don't know. Or do we? I spoke about Superman 78. I would adapt that from the comics if I was them. And also, you know, we've actually got a great OG Superman right now in Arrowverse, or is it even Arrowverse? So Superman and Lois. And I think that's done a lot to kind of bring some love back and good feeling for Superman. They are really doing a good job with that show. It's interesting because they've used some of the Snyder elements and the effects of what Snyder was doing, and it works, but he really is Superman, right? The only difference to this story is he's a family man. He has children. He has other things to worry about as well as being the world's hero. And I like the fact that they're dealing with the issue, should Superman be the protector of America or the universe or the world? Of course, he should be there for everyone. That's who Superman is. And although it didn't start off like that in the original comics, you know, we've evolved now. We are now in 2021. So I think it's okay for Superman to care about everyone and not just one warmongering country. And that's just my personal opinion, being a huge diehard Superman fan. So I think Superman and Lois have really done the character justice. They've done Lois Lane justice, having these two lads in the show as well. It's a refreshing take, and that's really helping to make Superman popular again and to convince the studio that Kal-El, the last son of Krypton, Clark Kent, is still very important to people, and we'd love to see a great epic movie. Whether that's Henry Cavill, Tyler Hoechlin, or Brandon Routh himself, we need Superman. We need the OG Superman. I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I hope he gets his sequel. I don't know what the plans are. If there are any plans at all for Henry Cavill, we will wait and see. But I just wanted to get that off my chest. I did talk about it on Twitter yesterday, but it does bother me because I think ultimately the killing of Superman, I get what BVS was attempting to do. They were trying to tell a story where the world some people hate Superman and some people have embraced him, and they wanted to tell a story on that platform, and that's fine and that's okay, but you can't go from BVS to Justice League. It doesn't work. You can't kill Superman off and then do a Superman Rebirth story, as we've discussed many times on this channel. You can't do a Superman Rebirth story in a Justice League movie. The only way I think it would have worked, for me personally and many other people, is if you actually say, right, fuck Steppenwolf, fuck Darkseid, let's just tell the Superman Rebirth story, let's have Steel, let's have these other versions of Superman, let's copy and paste in what the comics did. That would be an interesting, Superman Rebirth story inside a Justice League movie. But once you decide to go with Steppenwolf, who I liked in the Snyder Cut, and seeing Darkseid was fantastic, Zack really did that character justice, and the New Gods element of it justice, and it's exciting, and I would love to see Justice League 2 and Justice League 3. Don't misunderstand me here, but I just feel you can't do a Superman Rebirth story in a Justice League movie, and that's something that should have been done within a second Man of Steel movie. As far as I'm concerned, was it too soon to kill off Superman? These are the questions that are going to plague the Snyderverse forever, and this is why the Snyderverse was, very controversial, because Zack Snyder didn't come in to create a Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? That's who Zack Snyder is. He's an auteur. He deconstructs characters, then reconstructs them. But that isn't going to help you create a mainstream universe, a beloved mainstream universe. But that wasn't Zack's goal in the first place, and there lies the problem. That's why it didn't work with the mainstream, and that's why we're rebooting the DCEU, because they have to reboot it. They have to do something with it, because it's not working on the levels of the MCU. That doesn't mean I want to see MCU type movies, but I want to see a variety. I want to see die-hard comic book fans being excited about these movies. I want to see normies excited about these movies. So you have to rebrand it, you have to reboot it, and you do have to start from scratch. This has been the DCEU Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Please ask your girlfriends and your wives, excuse me. I knew I was going to cough by the end of this video. I'm going to do a joke and tell you why I'm coughing. Like when he keeps on laughing, right? I have COVID if you just come into the video. Yep, I'm Mick, your host with the most. Please ask your girlfriends and wives why I'm the host with the most. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never hit this perfection. And hopefully the COVID goes as soon as possible. So until tomorrow, where I'll be doing more DCEU Daily, unless I'm dead or incapacitated with COVID. Au revoir, goodbye, auf Wiedersehen. See you again tomorrow, hopefully.